very, very early age, and I'm talking, 5, my father actually took me to construction sites, and I was just intrigued with the noise. The whole idea of building and creating is really fascinating to me.
Your mission is not to get rich or to get famous. You need to use it for developing the humanity around you. And that's what we have to do as architects and what we have to do as designers.
Whenever we do something new, we want to inject this notion of expanding design ideas, expanding the way they look at space.
Checkwitch Poiron Architects, Nanaimo, British Columbia.
The client is the Nanaimo Port Authority. They wanted to create a cruise ship terminal. We've had cruise ships come into Nanaimo for the last 5 or 6 years. As part of a tourism initiative, they wanted to create a signature building. So it's not just a building, it's the actual dock itself. We all had this common goal that we had to finish the project before the first cruise ship came in. Everybody working on the project, from the CEO down to the person sweeping after the trades on site, knew what this goal was and worked together and put a lot of extra hours into the project to be able to make it a reality. The actual land that the cruise ship terminal is built on was actually a reclaimed waterfront, and it was used for many years as a place to manufacture wood products. So there used to be 3 wood mills on the site, and now there's 1. But the history of the wood in the area and on that site were very important. So we decided that wood being a great material aesthetically, that we would use that extensively in the project. We came up with this idea of the screen, and very shortly after that we decided, well, it'd be great to have a First Nations aesthetic to that screen, an image that can be used that's somehow tied to the site. So we actually talked to one of the First Nations artists, Noel Brown. We commissioned him to first create an image just as a painting that told the story of the site, and then we took that and modified it just slightly so to basically blow it up in scale and put it on the screen. And so far it's been a great addition. I think the happiest moment was when I saw the first cruise ship come in. I was actually on the dock that morning when it came in, and that particular cruise ship had come in to Nanaimo a year earlier, and it had to anchor in the harbor and tender people in, but now they have a dock to actually come up to. And one of the people that came off that had been on that ship last year said, wow, all this stuff wasn't here a year ago. So that made me proud to be able to sort of accomplish that goal in the time frame that we had. I think I've always wanted to be an architect, actually. I think I was about 10 years old, and I was rummaging around in my parents' basement, and I found some 1960s home plan books. From that point on, I was fascinated with plans of buildings, and so I guess that just sort of grew into wanting to become an architect. Design is striking.
Colacion Studio, Long Beach, California.
The Tamdeen Group is actually a large Kuwaiti property developer. So you have a Middle East company that has a very international workforce, and then you have all of these social issues and business objectives that have to all blend together. Things that we needed to do to address those were, one, the social dynamics of how different cultures work with an environment and be respectful of that. So we designed a space that was fairly transparent, which was probably the largest change, a cultural shift that we did. The great thing is the plan's actually designed in such a way that it's completely modulated. On the aspect of daytime evening, we went into the idea that retail display objects in a store become more precious when they're silhouetted. Whenever an individual, an employee, a guest actually arrive in the space, they're somehow silhouetted, one by either light, two by a dark plane or form, or sort of light filtering through the vista point. We began to also play with the vertical garden, the oasis concept being organic, and how we would overlay that into, let's say, traditional Arabic forms. And then we looked at traditional Arabic geometry and breaking it up and fragmenting it so that it too has a more delicate, organic quality and kind of danced itself through the space. That organic element happened when we looked at, floor finishes. We looked at the bloom product, and we utilized that in sort of a more intimate situation, in that occurred in all of our conference rooms. So there's nothing more delightful, I think, than looking at greenery. I think it tends to put a smile on everybody's face. The thing I learned most about working with different cultures is just to kind of listen, understand their objectives, understand and respect their processes, and then bring to the table whatever you can to make that process better. Design is agile.
DDOC, Amsterdam, the Netherlands.
We found this opportunity. It was the first cradle-to-cradle industrial office neighborhood made by Bill McDonough. They contacted Bill McDonough and they showed them the footprint that we have made together with the client, and the people of Bill McDonough, they worked their architecture on that. And I found fantastic because the building grew around the expectation of the client. And I must say it's very, very, very sophisticated building, not only for the technology, but also for the quality of the space. For instance, there is a fantastic cooking school that you can use. There is a big auditorium. There is a bar inside, restaurant. So the customers and also the wholesalers, they can go there freely. They can walk through. They can have experience. And the idea was also to create in this main square that is, let's say, the center of the void around that they're facing all the showrooms. We wanted to create a space that can be alive. This was a feature that was introduced by Bill McDonough. It's a system also for recycle the grey water. In itself is a big feature, and on it they are hanging in that wall. There are hanging meeting rooms. It's quite impressive as an element. When you are in the meeting room, you feel like you are flying. And from outside you see these beautiful glass boxes inserted in this big wall. It's a very nice feature. This feeling of sound and space and the history and theatrical play of light and material, this was something that took me so strongly that I'm still trying to reproduce this kind of thing. So try to create something with the space that can give emotion. The happiest moment of the project was you could see, your first small little sketches become true. It's like you have dreamed of that. So when you make a sketch, in one way you dream of a space, and after you see the space real. And in one way you are not surprised because you already saw in your mind, but in the other way you're very surprised because it's real, and you say, I really made that, and you don't believe it, no? Design is merged.
Gensler, Los Angeles, California.
So the family came to Gensler with a vision of replacing 2 existing motel buildings that they had over at the oceanfront in Santa Monica. It was also important for the family that the hotel be a model for sustainability. The family set out to have the hotel LEED certified, so we targeted LEED Silver during our design phase. But during construction of the project, we were able to elevate that to LEED Gold. The hotel fronts Ocean Avenue, which has a view of the Santa Monica Pier, the Ferris wheel, but some of the rooms, especially at the front side, has like 180-degree panoramic views of the beach, so it's just a pretty spectacular space. I think it's exciting to create the environments for people. For me personally, it isn't so much that it's a, sort of hip and happening and trendy and hot spot for just a short period of time. I think that it means something that when you go to visit a place that it gives you something about the city that you live in, a certain flavor, a certain mood that you can get from that locale. So for me, creating those environments is what I do it for. I gotta say, seeing the carpet go in was pretty exciting. It was sort of a colorful addition. I think that if it holds true that the property says that it's eco-friendly and it actually operates that way and it can show you what it does, I think that it'll make a difference for the guest and then also how they talk about their experience. I talk about how this is a family-owned property. Our team worked really well with the family. We can understand the dynamics of making decisions as a family also. And I think that helped us in the end in making it successful. I think that the U-shaped design also helped to enhance pedestrian activity into the actual building. It really engages the locals to come on into the hotel environment, which I think is kind of fun and cool. It's great. It's a hotel experience that is sort of unique to Santa Monica, and it allows the visitors really feel connected to the city. Design is a revival.
Winner and People's Choice Award, Shimoda Design Group, Los Angeles, California.
The client's Steelcase, this project is in their global headquarters. We've done 2 previous showrooms with them, and showrooms that were at really sort of key moments in the last 20 years of how they've approached the whole concept of the workplace, which has been evolving immensely, from the last 20 years. And also because the working relationship that we had established with them allowed them to be as creative as we were. So it became a real collaborative type of effort. We call it a stent, and it is modeled after the medical stent. When we did the showroom in Chicago, we started to think about these ideas of what Steelcase's DNA was and how they wanted to integrate multi-size companies that had different objectives and different styles and looks and feel, but also wanted to be part of the Steelcase brand. In all of the projects that we try to do, we try to source local creativity to make something happen. We luckily found a boat builder in Holland, Michigan, just 40 minutes away, who specialized in building large boats, but he also built windmills, he built airplane fuselages, and he had the equipment that was large enough to actually build this piece, because we couldn't find too many people with a mill that could go, like 60 or 70 feet long, and he had this. It was an incredible sort of statement about how Michigan as a manufacturing state has all of these small people who can do incredible things. By creating this work cafe, they're able to test these ideas about a nomadic worker, also about this notion that you don't have to sit at your desk all day. You can go down and spend half a day with a team and then go someplace else. You realize that a lot of what designers do satisfy very functional needs, and that sort of emotional and creative aspect oftentimes is off to the side. In this project, we were encouraged to push the limits, and it's really amazing to be able to have a client that's interested in doing that. The biggest thing was that it actually really inspired people to be happy about being in this corporate building. There are so many people that are in the company that never get to see each other, and then that were said to never have left their desk are now all of a sudden in the space. And so I think that's really pretty amazing. And so it became like a neighborhood coffee shop. That was the whole impetus behind it. There's a whole thing about trusting your gut, about blending things that you didn't think might go together. Now maybe you don't have to have so much of a box. Design is nourishing.
Design is striking.
Design is agile.
Design is merged.
Design is a revival.
Design is nourishing.